Mm.
Hi, Faith. How are you?
I'm pretty good, though, we've already had a pretty involved
I
conversation. We've thought about all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I'm good. I need breakfast.
I need a new way of saying hello. I should just say hi, Faith, and just not the how are you, because we know that's what we do. But we're just doing a really short video to talk about the fact that it's a new month. It's March, and it's the start of Women's History Month on the heels of Black History Month. And I think
Yeah.
that's kind of like we just thought we'd do these quick little videos about kind of what we're thinking about going into the week ahead. And because it's a new month and a new week, that's where my head's at, is thinking about the erasure of women and the erasure of Black people and Black women that's happening at this, highest levels right now of trying to strip everything away of achievements, accomplishments that we've had, contributions that we've made to this country because of all this DEI madness. And it has me thinking as we go into Women's History Month, following what was a radically different Black History Month, like what that's going to look like and how we as the people behind feminist founders should be what we should be thinking about in the content we're creating this month. So that's kind of where my head's at. Where's your head at?
Well, I'm kind of steeped in a lot of conversations about belonging. And so belonging as a woman, belonging as a Black woman, belonging as an immigrant woman, um, belonging kind of means to me it's the knowing that your needs are met and that your needs will be met, that other people are looking out for the meeting of these needs. And so it reminds me of a piece that I wrote analyzing some of the writings about Harriet Tubman, some of the writings about Angela Davis, and just noting that there were always people, regardless of their intentions, there were always people who spoke for these women as well. They're people who said, hey, there's a need, and we're going to be advocates for that need. And I think perhaps as we think about just elevating Black women's voices, in this time, because March, Women's Month, and then how do we elevate women's voices? How do we elevate Black women's voices in this time when it feels like you're shouting in a market? And so many Black women are just like, I just bought my rest deck, right? They were like, yeah, nap time. Yeah, it's like the overworking is has been phenomenal, and how do we be at ease? But while I'm at ease, how do I help elevate another Black woman's voice, and how do the people around me elevate my voice just so that I can have the rest? So that's some of the stuff I've been thinking about.
It makes me think about some of the things we were talking about before we hit record too. Just like this, trying to find this balance between honoring what you're feeling you need in a moment, like rest, quiet, shutting down almost, and then also other things that you need, which are like earning money and making a living and right paying the bills, and finding that balance of honoring both, where you don't just completely shut down in that like I just am overwhelmed and or I just deserve, and both can be true, rest. And like the world also doesn't honor when I need that and shut down and say, hey, you can pause your bills. And so having to continue to function and trying to find that balance, which we've talked about before, but I think will be an ongoing thing for people and most especially for Black women.
I mean, there is no balance in it. It's not a situation that's meant to be equitable. So a lot of it, somebody on socials recently was like, how do I tell my body that I'm not being chased for sport? Right? It's that feeling of, um, and another person responded, actually, I am being chased for sport. The reality is I am being chased for sport. So it's not how do I tell my body I'm not being chased for sport. It's how do I, while I'm being chased for sport, also attend to what's important. The resting, the eating, the paying of the bills while helping my system be regulated. And honestly, we can't do that well without community. So it's like yeah, it's hard to hold the balance because it's impossible. There is no such balance. And like we all have to keep being dependent on each other to kind of, yeah, okay, you need to use the bathroom here on the side of the road. I've held up my skirt. No one will look at you while you rest yourself. It's the how are we doing that work for each other? Because there is no kind of balance. So that's kind of what I'm
Oh,
thinking of.
well, that you're made me think, especially that like side of the road thing, totally all of a sudden brought up Octavia Butler, Parable of the Sower. And because of this, like being on the highway and being chased and like running, it makes me think of that. If people haven't read it, you must. It's a must read, and it's so incredibly important, I think, to read right now. It starts, I mean, the election that they talk about that's sort of everything happening was literally on the same day, November 6th, 2024, even though this book was written 40 years ago. But it's interesting because that whole piece of the community, like there is the chase, there is the fight, there's the run, and there are times where they turn to face the fear, right? And they have to engage and fight and be in it. And then there's also the reality of they also have to rest as they try to run because it's equal parts sort of running and fighting, right? Running and facing. And the only way that that's workable is being in community and the ways that they're sort of generating this community as they go on, engage in that. It's such a like, there are so many layers. Every time I like think about the book, I'm like, it so speaks to what we're talking about because yes, community is so important. And that's part of what I'm thinking about too, then for this month is how does feminist founders sort of serve as some of that community piece because we're not the
Yeah,
only ones feeling that like push-pull tension between like I'm exhausted and I can't completely shut down.
right, right. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to
I
be
think
doing it with you this month and I'm glad we're in community. And for people who are watching this, like this month we'll have our Feminist Founders Society, our paid membership call. And that's a space where I feel like we're doing some of that, right? Holding space for
yeah,
community.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then
And I think as we think together, we'll also find where are some of these resources that we need that on our own we can't find and be able to offer that to each other. I think, yeah,
yeah,
it
and
is.
I mean, that's what we try to do. I hopefully with the newsletter every week too, is just sharing resources, sharing news, helping people understand, contextualize this world as business owners and this tension that we're talking about. So, all right, well, we have a month ahead of us, but I'm excited to do it with you and with everyone who sees this. Please make sure you subscribe to Feminist Founders and join us in figuring this all out.
Having the conversation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks.